Welcome to An Unconventional Life, a podcast where we share stories about the crazy 1% out there who earned their doctoral degrees and then went on to use them in crazy, cool, unique, and unconventional ways. Here's your host, astrophysicist turned teacher, author, dissertation coach, and more, Dr. Russell Strickland.
Hi, this is Dr. Russell Strickland, the host of An Unconventional Life podcast, where I feature the unconventional lives of the 1% who went out and got their doctoral degrees as an adult and then went on to leverage them in crazy, cool, exciting, and unconventional ways. Today, I have Dr. Mike Lubelfeld with us, and he has quite the interesting background. He is currently a superintendent, and in the Chicago area. He has went back and earned his doctoral degree when he was a middle school principal. And he'll tell you the story about all the rules that he broke along the way to get that done. But he did that so that he could move up in administration. He has gone on to be an assistant superintendent, a superintendent. He is now part of a really cool new group of folks that are consulting in the educational space. We'll talk about that. Just a lot of things that I'm interested in talking with Dr. Mike about today. You guys are going to have a great time in this podcast. This is going to be a wonderful episode. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that, as always, this episode is brought to you by Dissertation Done. At Dissertation Done, we help students who want to live their unconventional life by earning their doctoral degrees and leveling up their career to get your dissertation done. So whether you feel like things are going a little bit slow, you're stalled, or just plain stuck, if you need help getting your dissertation done, reach out to us at dissertationdone.com/done. That's dissertationdone.com/done. We'll see if you might be a good fit for our Fast Track Your Dissertation coaching program, where we tend to get our students graduated a good year or two faster than they would on their own. And if you are living your unconventional life and you want to get your message out there, perhaps you can reach out to us and see if a book is in your future. Our Expand Your Authority program takes folks from idea or just I'd like to have an idea all the way through to a published book, so that you can get your authority out there in the marketplace. And you can find out more about that by going to dissertationdone.com/book. So that's our sponsorship message. And now for the fun part, Dr. Mike, welcome. How are you doing today?
It is great to be here, Dr. Strickland. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to spend some time with you. I'm doing great, feeling good, and excited to be here to talk about my unconventional life.
That is awesome. I can't wait. We are right now, hopefully this podcast will live long after this, but right now we're in the middle of COVID still, and you guys have just started school. How is that going? I know I've got kids here at home, so I know how it's going from my end. How's that going for you guys?
Well, I am so proud of our teachers, our support staff, our administrators, our maintenance folks, our board, our parents. It is going well. Now, knock on wood, we're in our fourth week of hybrid with an in-person learning model, 50% of the kids in the morning, the other 50% in the afternoon, with virtual learning sprinkled throughout. It's going surprisingly well. We've completely changed our business model. And again, fingers crossed that community spread stays low so we can stay open.
I have been so impressed at just a number of different schools that are all doing things in different ways, but I've been very impressed at how we talk to folks in. I belong to a coaching group of business owners, people that kind of run their own businesses. And when COVID hit, we were talking about how are we going to pivot? What are we going to do differently now? Because the world had kind of changed. School systems have done such a great job of pivoting, I think. My kids are part of the biggest school system in North Carolina, and they have done an excellent job there. All the students are virtual right now, but the kids it's like they're in class, it seems. It really does, with the exception of the commute in the morning. So,
Sure.
So that's been awesome. But thank you guys so much for all that you do, all educators out there. You guys are really doing an impressive job with the hand that was dealt to you. I know in our school system, I felt like they were caught flat-footed. Last year, it seemed like once this thing hit, nothing really happened in school for the rest of the year, honestly.
Sure.
But then they had some time to regroup and figure things out. And man, I think it's been a home run here in our district. And I'm glad to hear you guys are doing really well at this point as well. And like you said, knock wood, that everything continues to go well. I know one of our students at dissertation done, we're working together right now on her dissertation project, which involves collecting some data from classrooms in her school system. And we're working on strategies to get the data right now, because let's hope we're still in school in a month or in 2 months or 3 months, but let's get the data now so that we don't worry about that. So anyway, thank you guys. Let's talk about your doctoral journey.
Okay.
Take me back to before you even decided to enroll in your doctoral degree. Tell me what was going on in your life and what made you decide, hey, let me take this crazy step and see about going back to school as an adult who's in the middle of my career now.
Well, I'll tell you, life was way simpler before I enrolled in that doctoral program. And life was way simpler because I was an associate principal at a middle school, and I was single. And although I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I had always had coaches, guides, and mentors throughout my career that have helped me see things that I couldn't see, or they've helped see around corners that I couldn't yet see around, or they saw things in me that motivated them to help motivate me. So one of the most instrumental people in my professional and personal life is Jim Newland. He was an assistant principal at the first school where I started teaching back in the early 90s. So Jim had always said, go get your administrative credentials, go get a doctorate, become a superintendent, and all this stuff. And I'm like, Jim, really? I kind of like teaching and doing my own thing and love being single and having fun. Anywho, I was an associate principal, so I had gotten my administrative degree and job and all that. And something just motivated me to say, well, I could probably see down the horizon of being a principal. I could see down the horizon of going up in central office, and who knows what else. Right. So I threw my application out there, landed at Loyola University, Chicago. Go Ramblers, right?
Very nice.
Now they're famous, yeah. And I started in one of the first cohort doctoral programs they had ever had in the EDD, Doctor of Education program. Well, this was made up of a bunch of PhD professors who on one hand kind of looked a little suspiciously at the EDD in and of itself as being a professional doctoral degree. Right. And they were like, this cohort's going to be harder because we're really going to see if you all can make it. Now, again, I was single, pretty successful early in my career, really didn't have much else going on. So I was fully motivated, Dr. Strickland. This was it.
That's right.
Semester one, I swear they made us read like 8 books and, practically rewrite them just to see who among us was strong enough, crazy enough, endurance enough to handle it. From Senge to Fullen to Sir Giovanni, you name it. We can put up, for educational doctorates, put up all the what you're supposed to know. Even Bruner and Ben Bloom.
It's kind of like the old quote from Mike Tyson, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
We got punched a few times.
You're like, whoa.
It was nuts. So we had the cohort, so we had support. And I really emphasize that because, again, I was a single guy. Yeah. This was my life. Every, Friday night, Saturday, whatever the deal was, this was it. And I was reading and doing all this stuff and writing and learning, this wasn't master's level stuff and this wasn't anything I had ever experienced. Anyhow, during the time, I broke every rule there was. Now, I read Publish or Perish. I read Doing Your Dissertation in 10 Minutes a Day. So, we kept all that going. They started us with writing the lit review.
I haven't read that, by the way. Can you tell me exactly how you do your dissertation in 10 minutes a day? Because I've helped like over 300 students through this process, and I've never told one of them, you just put aside 10 minutes a day and it's going to happen. Is this like 10 minutes a day for like 34 years or what was the key to that book?
It's a conceptual 10 minutes, my friend, because 10 minutes could be 12 hours.
Yeah, see, that's one of those that I like to have a little bit of truth in advertising. Get your dissertation done in 10 minutes a day. I'm like, I just can't motivate myself to read that. So
no, you're so funny.
Glad that you told me what the clue was.
Yeah, no, it's conceptual. But I'll tell you, throughout the process, believe it or not, I found the love of my life and got married. I became a principal during this crazy experience. And my wife and I welcomed our daughter into the world. There's a picture of her probably as a 6-month-old baby. our 9-month-old baby at graduation, where I'm wearing the hat and the robes and everything. The bottom line is they said, be careful and be wary of major life changes when you're in your studies.
Yes.
And I had about every life change you could have. We moved everything.
I'll tell you that picture. I have 3 kids.
Okay.
They are right now 10 to 14 years old. My son, I have a picture of him. He was born in December. I defended and graduated in April.
Oh,
and in August, we had was my commencement halfway across the country. And my wife, my brother, and I, and our new son drove up there for commencement. I have a picture of me holding him where I'm wearing the silly gown and everything, and he's got the little hat. And he was like 8 months old. It's still one of my favorite pictures, thousands of pictures later. So those are the memories. And we didn't realize at the time, well, I guess we did by then realize that we were taking my daughter up there too, because my wife was several months pregnant by the time. we joke with that. My son was born 5 years past his due date, and our daughter came right after. So
I love it.
Yes, it does get hectic if you've got these other things going on while you're working on your dissertation. We tell our students all the time, please try to avoid the stressors. And if you look at the list that they publish, it's like, death and serious illness, which you can't avoid those, unfortunately. But then there's, getting a job, getting married, getting divorced, having a kid, moving.
Oh, yeah.
And you're basically checking off all the boxes, and it's still happened, right?
Remarkably, yes. I broke all the rules. It did happen, and I never looked back, and I'm so proud of it. Yes, still to this day.
So let's look back. What would you attribute? Like you said, you broke all of the rules, all of this stuff going on in your life. What would you attribute your success to being able to finish? Because it's not a given, right? Statistically speaking, it's a coin flip, basically. 50-50 chance when you go into a graduate program as to whether you're going to get your doctoral degree or not. So what helped you, do you think? What would you attribute it to?
Tenacity. Drive,
Yep.
sort of passion, competitive edge, competitive spirit, a little more tenacity,
Yeah.
a very supportive wife.
Yes.
And the cohort model, it didn't work for everybody because our stats were 50% made it, 50% didn't. We had hoped that more would.
Right.
I did have a couple very close friends in the cohort. We developed a close professional and then personal friendship.
Yes.
And we motivated each other. So those accountability coaches, before I even knew what an accountability coach was, really tipped the scale, or put the thumb on the scale, as they say, to get me over the hump and to get me to be a doctor.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like you said, the tenacity, the drive, that's common, I think, in all doctoral students. You just don't get to that level unless you are really committed. Everyone I talk to always says, I've never quit anything and I never will. I'm like, well, neither do the other guys that don't make it through the program. But that's I really think it's that notion of having support that's so important. One of our early students did her dissertation research on the types of support you need if you're kind of going through this unconventional doctoral program where you're not in school and in class every single day. You don't have that community there necessarily. And she found that you need emotional support. You need operational support, which is how the heck do I do this thing? And both of those were critical. If you didn't have either one, your chances of graduating were dramatically reduced. But if you had both emotional support, and in particular from people who knew what the heck was going on, all right? So your wife, if she hadn't been through this before, she could provide you with a certain type of support, but not everything you need. Would you agree?
100%. I concur 100% with you. Absolutely. Yes.
And then you've got the cohort we're all going through this together. So we're cheerleading. So to some extent, we're the blind leading the blind, but that can help. And then you also certainly had someone out there telling you kind of what to do. Because tenacity without proper direction just gets you to the wrong place eventually. But that's great. I'm so happy to hear that you made it through, that cohort was so supportive. It's too bad that apparently not everyone in the cohort really availed themselves of the cohort, because that would be what I would think would be the difference between those who finished and didn't. Yeah, when I was at the University of Chicago, they had this, at the end of the first year, they had this horrible qualification exam, candidacy exam, I think they called it there, where the faculty take delight in telling the students that none of the faculty can pass this exam because you need to go deep in like everybody's specialty.
Oh,
And,
no.
and they would tell us, like, in the middle of the summer, don't be surprised if faculty don't come to you and legitimately ask you questions that we want to know the answer to. Yeah, we could look it up, or yeah, we could go find the right faculty member to ask who would also know the answer. But we know you guys are supposed to know all the answers. And we had a guy who transferred into the program, was supposed to have been very well qualified, but did not take advantage of our study group. He just decided he was going on his own. And he was the one guy who they said, nope, you're going to have to try it again next year. Everybody else got beaten and bloody, but we made it through.
Made it.
Yeah. So yeah, support's amazing. Okay. Well, how did your life change once you graduated? Because that's a huge milestone, right? So what happened next?
I'll tell you, it was weird. It was almost immediate. And I don't know if it's supposed to be or not, but either one day or 1 week after I defended my dissertation, through the medieval Loyola process, which was wonderful, and Ignatian. What happened is a colleague of mine was an assistant superintendent, and he had been teaching as a faculty member at the university, and he said, Mike, I need your help. He said, I need you to substitute professor for me. And I said, what? I said, I've not ever professored. And he said, well, it's principal preparation. You are a principal, and you got your doctorate, and you were a teacher. I said, okay. So I've been an adjunct faculty member in the Department of Educational Leadership at National Louis University here in Chicago for 15 years and going. And last year, Loyola University Chicago picked me up as a part-time instructor as they've resurrected their administration and supervision program. Right. And I love it. I'm telling you, it's my teacher mojo. I was a middle school teacher, 8th grade history and 6th grade history. So it's my teaching mojo that I still feel grounded. I still have to do some lesson planning, and I absolutely love it. My life changed immediately because I still get to be a teacher, even though professionally I was an administrator.
Right. And I think a lot of folks that had this love for education that brings you into a doctoral program, somewhere deep down they do like teaching, whether they've ever done it professionally or vocationally. We all teach all the time. Yes. As parents, as just community members, whatever it might be, you're always sharing your expertise, your knowledge. But one of the things that I found as well when I was an adjunct faculty member before I started dissertation done was as you go up in level, which students you're teaching, it seems like the ratio of knuckleheads in the population goes down a bit. So I actually really enjoy moving from teaching undergrads to master students to finally doctoral students. And there were still some knuckleheads in the doctoral program, but I found that there was a weed out process or something, I don't know, that they weren't as prevalent when you got to those higher levels. But that was something that I was certainly happy to learn and to find out about, was that if I focus on these doctoral level students, I get students that are a little bit more serious and a little bit more committed, and not just telling me, you better give me an A because the last professor gave me an A too. Sure. So right now, so you've identified that you're teaching, also overseeing, you're superintendent, right? How did that come to be? I'm guessing that didn't happen the same week you got your doctoral degree, did it?
I'll tell you, this is kind of funny. In Illinois, prior to 2005, so to December 31, 2004, in Illinois, any administrator who earned a doctoral degree in EDD would automatically be entitled for a superintendent license. Now, that changed January 1st, 2005. So my passion is curriculum and instruction, teaching and learning. So my doctorate's in teaching and curriculum and instruction. So I'm a principal. I graduate May of 2005 because the birth of my daughter delayed me about 6 months, I think appropriately. So then, ironically enough, because I was professoring one semester a year at National Louis University, I could teach a course and then take an equal number of semester hours for free in the Ed Specialist program to get my superintendent license. So I actually ended up getting a 4th degree. I have an educational specialist degree, which I got out of order after my doctoral degree, got it for free for teaching, sort of a work program. Right. And in 2009, I earned my superintendent license with the Ed Specialist. So I was a principal and an assistant superintendent with my doctorate. I got my superintendent license in 2009, and as luck would have it, through coaching and mentoring of great leaders with whom I worked and with whom I studied from, I became a superintendent in 2010.
Wow.
So, and I haven't looked back. I'm in my 11th year as a school superintendent, 3rd district, in my 3rd year. It was 3 years, 5 years, and now I'm currently in year 3.
Awesome. Now, so you mentioned that you've worked with a number of different districts. What have you found is the same, and what have you found as different as you've kind of moved around in a similar position and different districts in the area?
Teachers are some of the hardest working and most passionate, loving, caring people on the face of the planet, number one.
Yes.
That's an easy one, and it's beautiful because I see it everywhere. Publicly elected school boards can be an amazing concept. They also can be traced back to be a concept that perpetuates some of the ills in society unintentionally. And a strong and honorable board superintendent relationship can help a community just soar.
Right.
And when things get askew or awry, it certainly can stifle growth and opportunity for children.
Absolutely. We have seen in boards in our general area, I won't say which ones in particular, but school boards in our general area, we have seen that happen when things that I think are not keeping the children's interest and the interest of education at heart necessarily. When that element makes it into the board, it does really slow things down. It's an unfortunate case for the children, and being able to maintain those relationships, I trust, is something that is one of the key things that you have to do in your position, because not only are you overseeing the education of these children, but you're also making sure that people are letting you do that.
Yes.
and supporting you in doing that, as they certainly should. So let's talk a little bit about what's next, because I know you told me there's something exciting that's just happening now, as luck would have it. And I, as an entrepreneur at heart, I find this really exciting. So tell everybody what's going on now for you, or what's coming up for you.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, there is a new educational consulting firm called ELS, or Ed Leadership Solutions, edls.info, if anybody's interested out there. And the 3 managing partners are 3 colleagues. 2 of them have been mentors professionally of mine for many years, and they're 3 retired superintendents who've done a great deal of work in leadership all across the state of Illinois.
Right.
They've created this firm, and they've asked me, which is absolutely humbling and makes me very proud, and several of my other colleagues around the state of Illinois, to join as associates in the firm that is focusing on strategic planning support,
Very cool.
Executive searches, selection for superintendents, central office principals, for mentoring and coaching, and for evaluation of sort of a round robin 360-degree approach. So my school board is supportive of me dipping my toes into this. They understand I'm at the point in my career where I'm not yet ready for it, but I'm seeing the next phases in a couple of years. I still have many good years left in me, and as do my teams. But I'm starting to plant some seeds for post full-time superintendent work, and this is certainly in my interest area. So ELS, Ed Leadership Solutions, edls.info, is definitely just happening, just announced, and I'm real proud and humbled to be part of it. And thank you for asking, Dr. Strickland.
You're welcome. No, that's exciting. I will tell you that if you enjoy teaching, I think when you move into the realm of consulting, it gets to be even a little bit more exciting, because you're now teaching. You're teaching something that you have experience in, something that you love, you have a passion for, and you're also teaching folks that are really hungry to learn, because your students, and no matter how good the students are, no matter how good the class is, they don't necessarily have a burning need for what you're teaching right at that time.
Yes.
But when you go in as a consultant, you're there because they really want to learn from you. So obviously consulting offers many opportunities, but I find that a significant part of that is teaching, and that's something I really enjoy. I know a consultant, I read all of his material years ago. He was a prolific author. I mean, he's 20, 30 books that he's published or something of that sort. But the way he described consulting is that, listen, I'll write a book and people will pay $10 to buy my book, and then they'll pay me $10,000 to read it to them. And in a sense, that notion of teaching live and in person and in situ, in the situation is very important, very valuable, folks. So I wish you all the luck in the world on that.
Thank you.
Well, today we've had with us Dr. Mike Lubelfeld. I have been so honored to have you on today. This episode, once again, has been brought to you by Dissertation Done. So if you are a doctoral student, like Dr. Lubelfeld mentioned, and need some support, maybe you don't have a cohort group in your particular university, and you need a support mechanism. There's a lot of ways that you can do that, but if you'd like to talk to us and see if you might be a good fit for the support we offer, reach out to us at dissertationdone.com/done. If you have completed your dissertation, or otherwise you're out there living your unconventional life, you've got a book in you and you want to get it out into the world, perhaps our Expand Your Authority program would be a great fit for you. Reach out to me and we'll talk about that, dissertationdone.com/book. And Dr. Mike, give us your new website once again, edls.com?
.info.
.info. Okay. So edls.info. Definitely check them out. Reach out if you've got an executive search that you're undergoing. What else should they reach out to you to talk about?
Well, I have published 2 books, and a third one is in publication. So if you're interested in The Unlearning Leader, Leading for Tomorrow's Schools Today, Student Voice, From Invisible to Invaluable, both available at Amazon or Rowman and Littlefield Publishers. Very cool. On the bookshelves, probably in about 6 or 7 months, unfinished, School Leaders Framework for Growth and Development will be coming out as well.
We will get all of those into the show notes so that you guys can find those. We'll link to the ones that are available so you guys can go out and have a look. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Dr. Mike.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute pleasure. I wish you and all of your folks the absolute best. Thank you.
Thank you again. It was an honor to have you here today, and best of luck to you and your school system. Let's hope everybody stays safe and well, and we can learn throughout the year together.
Yes.
Thank you once again, Dr. Mike.
This has been An Unconventional Life. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe now to keep getting inspirational stories of unconventional lives as soon as they're released. Until then, go out and live your best unconventional life.